Have you ever stopped to think if a website you trust could actually be turned against you? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the web's oldest and frankly most stubborn dangers, cross-site scripting, or XSS for short. It's this hidden flaw that can pop up on sites you use every single day. So we're going to break down what it is, see how it works, and really understand why it's a threat you need to know about.
So let's start with a really simple but kind of unsettling question. What if a website you trust, your bank, your favorite online store, whatever, what if it could actually attack you? And I don't mean their servers getting hacked somewhere far away. I mean the actual web page loading on your screen in your home. That's the wild idea at the core of XSS.
All right, so let's get into it. What exactly is cross-site scripting? The name sounds super technical, I know, but the concept behind it is surprisingly straightforward and, well, pretty darn clever.
At its heart, XSS is what we call an injection attack. So an attacker finds a weak spot on a website, like a comments section or a search bar, and instead of typing a normal message, they slide in a little piece of malicious code. Now, the website, it doesn't know this code is dangerous, so it just saves it. But the real trick happens in your browser. See, your browser is built to trust the website, so when it gets that piece of code, it just runs it, no questions asked. It's kind of like a spy slipping a secret, malicious order into a stack of official documents that everyone trusts.
And this right here, this is a really, really important distinction to make. Most of the hacks you hear about, they're like a direct assault on a castle, the company's servers. But XSS is different. It's more like a Trojan horse. The attacker completely bypasses the castle's walls and goes straight for the people visiting it. That's you. The goal isn't to break into the company's vault, it's to take control of your browser on your computer.
Okay, so theory is one thing, right? But to really get a feel for how dangerous XSS is, we need to look at the damage it's caused in the real world. Let's dive into a few massive cyber heists where XSS was the weapon of choice.
First up, British Airways. In 2018, this was the number of customer payment transactions, 380,000, that were hijacked by attackers. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of people typing in their names, addresses, and credit card numbers, thinking they were booking a flight, when all of that info was being secretly siphoned off to a criminal group. And the culprit? A single, tiny XSS flaw.
So how in the world did they pull that off? Well, it was a classic three-step maneuver, and it was brilliant in a scary way. They didn't even attack British Airways servers directly. Instead, they found a vulnerability in a piece of code from a third-party company that was running on the payment page. They just slightly altered that script, get this, adding only 22 lines of code. This tiny change acted like a digital wiretap, silently copying every credit card detail the moment it was entered and sending it straight to a server they controlled. It was subtle, surgical, and just incredibly effective.
Now let's switch gears from airlines to the massive world of online gaming. In 2019, a very similar vulnerability was found in Fortnite, one of the biggest games on the planet, and it put all 200 million of its user accounts at risk.
Thankfully, in this case, some good guy researchers caught the flaw before criminals could really go to town with it. But just look at what was possible. An attacker could have stolen virtual currency, completely taken over accounts, and, this is the part that really gets me, they could have listened in on and recorded players' in-game voice chats. The game itself could have become a spy tool.
And this last case with eBay, well, it highlights another critical thing about XSS. These vulnerabilities can be incredibly persistent. Back in 2015, a flaw was found that let attackers create fake eBay listings to scam buyers, so eBay patched it. But the attackers just kept coming back, finding new, similar holes in 2016 and then again in 2017. It became this multi-year game of cat and mouse, which just goes to show you that a single fix isn't always the end of the story.
Okay, so we've seen the chaos it can cause, but how does an attacker actually do this? Let's break down the technical side of things a little bit.
So XSS really comes in two main flavors. First, there's reflected XSS. You can think of this like a booby-trapped link that someone sends you in a phishing email. You actually have to click on that specific link for the trap to spring, and it only affects you. But the second one, and this is the really dangerous one, is stored XSS. This is like planting a digital landmine on the website itself, in a forum post, a user profile, a product review. The malicious code gets saved on the server, and it attacks every single visitor who views that page. No clicking required.
The attacker's playbook for this is usually pretty simple. Step 1, they probe the website looking for any place that accepts user input. Again, think search bars, profile pages, comment boxes. Step 2, instead of typing "great product," they inject their malicious script.
And then step 3 is where the magic or the horror happens. The website serves up that script to your browser, and because it's coming from a website your browser trusts, it just runs it. The website has just been tricked into attacking its own users.
Okay, but it's super important to understand that not all XSS flaws are created equal, not even close. The potential for damage can be wildly different depending on where on a website the vulnerability is found. It's a whole spectrum.
Just think about it this way. An XSS flaw on a simple news site with no user accounts? Yeah, it's not good, but the impact is relatively low. But find that exact same bug on an online banking website? Now we're in the high-impact zone, where financial data is at risk. And the absolute worst-case scenario, the holy grail for an attacker, it's using an XSS bug to steal the session cookie of a site administrator. That's like stealing the master key of the entire building. It gives them total control.
So let's pull all this together. You know, XSS isn't some new, cutting-edge threat. It's been around for decades. Yet, it consistently ranks as one of the most common vulnerabilities found on the web. So why, after all this time, are we still talking about it? Why does it still matter so much?
When you get right down to it, it all comes back to two things: trust and data. For us, the users, it means our accounts can get compromised, our sensitive data can get stolen. Attackers can even steal things called session cookies that keep us logged in, and then they can just impersonate us. But for the businesses running these sites, the fallout is just devastating. We're talking severe reputational damage and an erosion of customer trust that can take years to rebuild, if it can be rebuilt at all.
And that's really what I want to leave you with. An XSS attack fundamentally breaks the bond of trust between a user and a website. It turns a familiar, trusted web page into a potential weapon. It's a powerful reminder that our security online is often a very fragile thing. So the next time you type something into a search bar or post a comment online, you might just find yourself wondering, what's really happening behind the screen? Stay safe out there, and thanks for joining me.